Does the world sometimes feel like this to you? Does life sometimes feel like this to you? In fact, the inside of our minds can feel like this at times, which isn't surprising given all of the volatility and turbulence going on right now. So how do you navigate your way forward? How do you lead through this kind of volatile change? I am the Futurist Dave Wild, and I'm here to help you navigate forward. The first thing to do is to understand the four forces that are creating this change and turbulence, because that then provides anchor points to help you move forward as a leader. So let's take a look at those four forces now. Thinking about where the turbulence comes from, there are four major factors that are creating this change around us. The first of those is social impact. Now, social impact has always been important. However, if you think about what's happening right now in terms of the expectation of society on our organisations, on our businesses, it's not enough to be successful, to be profitable, to be commercially smart. There's an expectation to say, what purpose do you have in the world and how does it benefit me? Then, as we all know, the world is getting faster than ever. But you have to kind of say, does it just feel like it's getting faster? Because every generation thinks their age is faster. Or is there something going on that's creating that speed of change? And there is. The fact that we're now more networked and connected than ever before. Despite that connection, we can't predict exactly what's going to happen. All of a sudden the world can change on you and things can shift, and what was once clear is no longer clear, leading to this kind of unpredictable volatility that as a leader we need to be able to navigate through. And that age that we're navigating through is known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. There is so much conversation about digital, and digital is really critical. But digital is the Third Industrial Revolution. Each of these revolutions lasts for about a century. We're halfway through digital, and meanwhile the Fourth Industrial Revolution has begun already, where data is literally flying out into the air and connecting us in ways that we've never been connected before. So it's the fusion of the physical environment with the digital environment with the biological environment. And it requires a different way of thinking, a different way of innovating, a different way of leading. Now, if we look at those four forces and how they all combine together, how do you have a sense of stability, a sense of clarity with so much change going on all around you? Well, key to doing this is what we call a mind flex. So you don't actually need a new mindset. Take the existing mindset you've got and learn to flex it with a far greater degree of adaptability. If we look about how these connect together, so we've talked about the market, the macro environment that's out there. Your organisation is then a micro environment that exists within that macro environment. And you yourself then become another mini environment within that. So your mind is actually an environment that you need to flex in order to be enabled to your organisation to adapt and adapt with those changes from out in the macro environment. And in doing that as a leader, you then build skills within your team that give the organisation the capabilities needed. So we've looked at the mega trends already, and then if we look at an organisation perspective, what are those capabilities that's needed? Well, they're founded on four common well-known principles: the importance of being customer-centric, of innovating, agility, the ability to change, and then of course, as we've referenced already, digital. But those are long-established, decades-old trends. So we have to say, what kind of new capabilities are organisations now building? Well, it's the shift to not just being customer-centric, but from a diverse and inclusive perspective, saying how do we profit purposefully? So not just profit for profit's sake, but enabling others to profit in a way that moves us all forward. In order to do that, we have to collaborate with far greater creativity. So as the machines get smarter and great at the logical and analytical, what are the uniquely human creative skills businesses and organisations now need to make far greater use of? And it's not enough just to be agile. So agile is about a substantive change to a business model as you pivot. But we can't keep pivoting. People become wary, they become resistant. So actually you need to build a capability within an organisation to be sustainably adaptive. And part of doing that is to recognise that we're going beyond pure digital and that it's a digital integration into those other dimensions that we're now working in. Then if I kind of look at those organisational capabilities, in order to build those, it requires a different way of leading. So we need leaders who aren't entrenched in the status quo, who aren't fixed in the way things have always been done, but have the ability to mind flex and make use of everything around them. So it's not a command and control, it's an adapt and lead way of working. And that requires the ability to mind flex, and you can see at the heart of it this concept of leap, which stands for 4 different mind flexes. So you mind flex forward far more progressively, you leverage the information that's around you, you think expansively, and then you take those ideas and continue thinking in an active way that requires experimentation. Now, that then enables you to build this set of future-ready skills across your team and across your organisation. So whether it's teams becoming more empathetic to those who are different to them, or the ability to use devices and digital information to augment their intelligence, enables you to adapt and have a greater impact. I want to focus in here on a particular future-ready skill that helps you navigate through all of this complexity. And it's the idea of simplexifying. And to simplexify is actually different to simplify. So if I think about simplifying, it's often just getting rid of complexity. So it's making something simpler. Whereas simplexify is actually taking all of that confusion, all of that complexity, but retaining the sophistication of it, but enabling people to navigate far more clearly through that. So let's do that with some of the information we've just covered, because we've moved at speed through a complex series of interconnected thoughts. So let me now simplexify that. A way of starting to look at that is to step back to those 4 forces of change. And when you look at that world and want to understand those megatrends more deeply, there's time-honoured questions that we ask as human beings to understand that world around us. So you can say, well, why are those changes occurring? What do I need to do as a result? How do I do it? And who do I become? Then if I overlay that onto the model we've just explored, then the megatrends are why we need to change. The capabilities of what we need to build in order to do that. How do we do that? We do that by mind flexing. And who does it enable us to become? It enables us to become future ready. Now, even though we've moved things into 4 quadrants, that's still 4 things to focus on. So I now want to simplexify that down to a core element. And you've seen that element already, but maybe you didn't focus right in on it. It's this word leap that sits at the heart of mind flexing. Because when you're trying to navigate through these kinds of forces, you don't actually want to force against them. That's just creating resistance, and it becomes fatiguing, and it gets pressure against it. So instead, think about how do you navigate through the rapids? And actually, the way of thinking to move your mind is far more like paddling your way through this complexity and change. So at times you're rolling with it because you're going, there's a force I need to move with. Then at other times you're navigating out of it because you kind of go, we need space, we need room to move. And it's a constant process of flexing. But it becomes natural once you've learned that process and that way of working. So if I now strip away all of that complexity, at the heart is this ability to mind flex. What it means is as you step forward into these forces that surround us, now it's not just turbulence being pushed around in any direction, it's actually using these as inputs to enable you to move forward. So what that enables you to do is to mind flex in order to be future ready. So I'd love you to join with us as we move forward into the future. So let's head there now. Actually, the future's just over this way, so we might just head over there. Notice how ready I was to flex though in order to be future ready. See you there.